What's up, everyone? Today we're going to revisit a build I haven't updated since level 50. It's going to be Zero Ammo Moze. Now, I used to have two different rocket launcher builds. One was Zero Ammo Moze that was based around the Scourge, and then I had a separate ion cannon build. But now with the level 57 increase, we have more skill points. I was able to combine the two builds into one. And so now it's just one build, Zero Ammo Moze. And some of the choices are based on the Scourge and the skills, and some of them are based more on the ion cannon. And so we're able to take everything we need for both. So we're using the 160 splash annoyant for this because of auto bear damage is better with it. That's not necessary. 125% incendiary annoyant will be just fine. Auto bear damage is just icing on the cake. You don't really need it at all. It's just there. It's nice to have the extra damage. I'm using Hammer Down Protocol, which is a pretty cool weapon now with yesterday's update. So that makes good use of the 160 Splash Annoyant. So I do have pretty much perfect passives on my gear, but I'm here to tell you don't need that. What's important is having the magazine size on both of them, and that's mostly just for the ion cannon. But this build will kick ass with the worst passives you can imagine. You don't need them. It's just basically overkill to have all these perfect passives. So that's not a big deal at all. The shield, you could use any shield with any anoint you want. ASEs work just fine. I like using this just to make sure I always have auto bear when I need it. For some for the road, and that's mostly for the Scourge. Got a maddening tracker. You could use any nade you want here too. Sometimes I do run it with the spring epicenter, so for the skills, we go down to Forge, or for Short Fuse, and this is mainly for the Scourge. It doesn't do near as much with the Ion Cannon, but it is useful with the Scourge. So we get Stainless Steel Bear for that. Of course, we got Grizzle to get our Auto Bear all the time. Basically, you just got to spend your points down to Forge, or to Short Fuse, and these are just the best ways to do it. You might you might have different points here depending on what skills your class mod gets. You just kind of rearrange them depending on the skills you have on your class mod. So, and then Means of Destruction is going to help us regenerate ammo aside from some from the road. And so again, Short Fuse is mostly for the Scourge. And then we're using Hammer Down Protocol with Auto Bear just for that extra damage. It does like 2 to 400k shots. It does pretty damn good damage with the Blastmaster and the 160 Splash Annoyant, so that's pretty great. And then for the Bottomless Mags tree, we go down to Forge, and this is for the Ion Cannon. Click Click gets the best benefit from the Ion Cannon as well. The Scourges only have like 7 or 8 mag, or I think 9 maybe, with all the mag size bonuses we got for it. And sometimes it'll be sitting at 4 or 5 ammo the whole time, so it's not getting quite as much out of Click Click. But the ion cannons, oh, I forgot to mention one of the most important part about your ion cannons, you want to have that 16 mag size or greater. So that'll help you with regenerating ammo fast enough. Otherwise, it just a redistribution of forge don't work very well with smaller mag sizes on these rocket launchers. Rockets regenerate a lot slower. So you can also use the Ruby's Wrath too. It works really good as well. It's pretty fun to use, but I prefer the Scourges and the Iron Cannons. And again, you can also use a Quickie too with this build. Everything works good for it. So yeah, the mag size is on that. And I mostly use these kinetic ones for mobbing and stuff, but we have shock and corrosive on both of these for takedowns and stuff like that. So we can do better against shields and armor and those against the bosses. So back to Bottomless Mags here, Cloud of Lead's a given. All this is stuff that is just pretty obvious. Again, redistribution is mostly just for the ion cannon. And actually, Scorching RPMs is just for Short Fuse. And you don't need Specialist Bear, but I'm taking that because I want to boost my auto bear damage. That's not necessary. You can put that in Scorching RPMs if you want. So That's about it. There's not really much to talk about as far as the skills. Some for the road. This is almost entirely just for the scourges. The ion cannon doesn't really get a lot out of it because you can't fire very many times in that 5 seconds. But the ion cannon relies more on the regen, and the scourge relies more on some for the road. So it's a combination of two different builds here. So some of our choices are for one way and some are for the other. I prefer using the scourge for most mobbing. The thing about this build is you want to always have 0 ammo in your backpack so you never end up reloading, and you also want to have your mag size as close to 0 as possible. If you have 0 in the mag, when you hit some for the road, you're going to be getting the full click bonus out of it. So this object is try to get your mag as low as possible before you proc some for the road, and then you'll get the most damage out of it. So running a scourge with this is pretty straightforward. You just kind of hop an iron bear, get out, spam your some for the road shots in the general direction of enemies, and kill everything as fast as you can. Just annihilates everything. And we actually get quite a bit out of means of destruction. We end up regenerating a lot of rockets from that. We're just throwing our nade to proc our annoyance and stuff. So as you can see, I'm getting pretty good regen from just means of destruction here. I always try to spend all my ammo before I hop an iron bear. That way again I'm getting all I can out of click from that. And sometimes you just get a lot of regen and you can sit here just shooting forever. Just all depends.
That was so good, it made me want to fucking explode!
We're up to 6 in the mag. We regened a lot during that. Some for the road rock there. Just shoot towards the red dots. That's all you really have to do. This is the easiest build ever. This shit works really good for bossing as well. Some for the road, and the scourge will kill just about any boss in one application. And ion cannon will one-shot a lot of bosses as well. So you could use the build for mobbing or bossing. It works in the takedown really well as well. You always want to have at least one ion cannon equipped for a short or for a second wind weapon because it will regenerate ammo. So if you go down with 0 in your mag and the scourge is out, it regenerates ammo so slow it's not going to be great for a second wind. But if you're on the ion cannon that has the 16 mag, it's kind of, which is extended to like 34 or 36, as you can see it regenerating a rocket right away. It's going to regenerate rockets a lot faster for you to be able to get second winds with. So I will do a bit of gameplay with the ion cannon here.
Just to make me fucking happy! Let's do this thing!
Tyrene will protect. Fight for the wrong side, get dead.
So you don't really need to hop an iron bear near as much with the ion cannon since you don't need some for the road for it. It's basically just to proc your splash anointment, which you don't even necessarily need that either. You do millions of damage even without it, especially if you're getting critical hits. I keep getting fucking cryoed by that guy, that's annoying. So we don't even have the anointment. I just did 2 million on that guy, but I can get up to like 6 million or so with the anointment active and I get critical hit. Well, shit. Where is that guy? There we go. Hammer down protocol is really great with the blastmaster and the splash bonus. Does quite a bit of damage. Totally missed that guy. So yeah, I definitely prefer the scourge for this kind of stuff, but the ion cannon has its applications too. I especially like using the ion cannon in certain parts of the takedown against like death auras and different things that are just harder to hit with the scourge. Like the dogs, they jump out of the way a lot, so They're usually a bit harder to hit. Fucking getting cryoed so much. It's so annoying. Yeah, you're gonna pretty much one-shot everything. If you hit it, that is. You'll one-shot things that are next to the thing you one-shot. So yeah, that's about it. This is probably the easiest build to do a slaughter shaft with than you'll ever use. It's pretty much, very much easy mode.
Anybody counting?
One-shot everything in here. Get off of me. You don't even have to hit him to one-shot him, but I actually definitely prefer the Scourge for this, because sometimes when you swap your weapons, you end up having to reload like that, which is really annoying. Kind of a problem in the takedown, that you end up getting things in your backpack, so you'll have to reload. It's annoying, but oh fuck, I didn't get out of Iron Bear. Even with resetting Blastmaster, it still does so much damage, it's not really that big of a deal either. And we got some 4 million hit off the Scourge. So yeah, that's about it. There's not really a lot to talk about. It's a really simple build, just based on having no ammo. Get click bonus, and it's really strong. It's really easy to play. It's pretty versatile. You don't need all the great passives or anything for it to do good. But if you have all the good gear, then it's ridiculously powerful. So there you go. Have fun.